Many years ago, when I was a young undergrad, I heard about the disputes between Armenia and Azerbaijan over Nagorno-Karabakh, and I started studying it. I moved to London, ran into a few Armenians who gave me their side of the story. When I moved to the US, a friend of mine, Navroz Basharov, twice world champion in karate, gave me the Azerbaijani side of the story. And so over the years, I've heard many narratives about this conflict from the Azeris, the Armenians, the Turks, the Russians, the Americans, the British, the French, the Indians, the Pakistanis, and so on and so forth. So what exactly is going on in this remote part of the world? Well, first of all, it's not that remote. It is in the Caucasus. And the Caucasus have many conflict brewing. Chechnya is one of them. Also, now with gas in Azerbaijan, this is a very strategic part of the world. So let's walk back through the mists of time and look at what exactly triggered this entire conflict. Armenia is supposedly the first Christian nation in the world. Apparently some king converted and some saint came along, Gregory the Illuminator, if I am not mistaken, and everyone turned Christian, and the Armenian Apostolic Church is still in charge. It's somewhat similar to the Russian Orthodox Church and the Greek Orthodox Church, and the Armenians are devout, and Armenians have Christianity as part of their identity. Now, yes, they had their kingdom, etc., but over a period of time they were absorbed by the Ottoman Empire. And as the Ottoman Empire collapsed and the Turkish nation emerged, the Armenians were taken on long marches and many of them died, and that is now called the Armenian Genocide. So they haven't had much luck recently. Now, after the Ottoman Empire fell, they had a brief period of independence, and then they were swallowed up by the Soviet Union. Well, when the Soviet Union fell, they had their independence, but we are jumping ahead of the gun. Azerbaijan, on the other hand, was conquered by Ismail I, one of the great Shia emperors of Iran, and he introduced Shia Islam to Azerbaijan. The Azeris are still, the Azerbaijanis are still 65% Shia, 35% Sunni, and he introduced the 12er denomination, which he had made the state religion. And over a period of time, Azerbaijan was culturally a part of Iran. Farsi was its official language. And it continued to be so until the Russian Empire expanded in the 19th century towards the Caucasus, and it took territory away from the Iranian Empire. And Azerbaijan became first a Russian and then a Soviet territory. So, bottom line, both Armenia and Azerbaijan were part of the Soviet Union till 1991. And as with Yugoslavia, another communist country, these multi-ethnic states persisted until communism kept a lid on the pressure cooker, until it could provide an ideology that somewhat transcended the ethnic divisions of these lands. As with the collapse of Yugoslavia, when ethnic tensions basically erupted in the form of civil war, even genocide. In the case of Armenia and Azerbaijan, what happened was there was conflict. Nagorno-Karabakh is an enclave of Armenians within Azerbaijan. There's also Nakhichevan, which is an Azerbaijani enclave within Armenia. It all gets very complicated. And in the battle that emerged in 1993, Armenia had the upper hand. They got 20% of Azerbaijani territory. They, of course, had control over Nagorno-Karabakh. And round one to Armenia, all jolly good. Everyone's happy, or the Armenians are happy, and the Azerbaijanis are miffed. Fast forward now, or rather a couple of years from now, before the Russia-Ukraine war, Azerbaijan strikes back. Round two, they use Turkish drones, they overwhelm the Armenians, they take back their territory, almost all their territory, and now the Armenians are on the receiving end. Now, in between this, Armenia basically had a revolution, a sort of a democratic revolution like Ukraine, and you could call it, or it is called the Velvet Revolution, and it lost the support of its godfather, Russia. Now, Azerbaijan basically has a godfather. That godfather's name is Turkey. That is partly because of Islam and partly also because of geopolitical interests of Turkey. And under Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the new sultan, Turkey has self-consciously decided to go back to its Ottoman past and turn its back on its Kemalist past. Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, the founder of modern Turkey, is no longer in fashion. In fact, Erdogan has built Ak Saray, a 1,000-roomed White Palace, White House, right on the spot where Ataturk had his hunting lodge. So obviously, Turkey is backing Azerbaijan, but after the democratic revolution, Armenia lost support of Papa Putin. Russian President Vladimir Putin first raised gas prices, so Armenia then had to cozy up with Iran. And then, of course, during the conflict with Azerbaijan, Russia didn't provide support. So Armenia was left high and dry, and now basically it's a frozen conflict. There's a blockade on the only road going to Nagorno-Karabakh. There's also problems with Yerevan. And in this complex conflict, you've had two players getting involved, distant players getting involved. One, of course, is Pakistan, which has become a global supplier of jihadis in some ways, high unemployment, Saudi-funded madrasas, and a fixation with Turkey, because, of course, in 1192, India was conquered by the Turks. So the Pakistani elite, of course, has constantly looked to the Middle East as its cultural inspiration. They cannot at all accept the fact that they are converts, local converts. So all the Pakistanis claim, or not all, the Pakistani elite claims that, well, they were descended either from the Arabs, or they were descended from the Persians, or they were descended from the Pashtuns, or they were descended from the Turks. And Turkish soap operas are extremely popular in Pakistan. So Pakistan has recently been looking to Sultan Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Remember, very importantly, that the Ottoman Sultan was the Khalifa, the Caliph of the Sunni Islamic world. And there was a Khilafat movement in 1919 in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So there is an enormous amount of cultural deference to the Turks. And the missiles in Pakistan are named Ghazni and Ghori. So Pakistanis have also been supplying jihadis to the cause. And as a counter to that, and also because India is a bit peeved that Turkey supports the Kashmiri cause, the Kashmiri independence cause, India has been selling arms to Armenia. And whilst this maelstrom is going on, the US has muscled out Russia from the peace talks between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So you have a very curious melange wherein the US is involved, the EU is somewhat involved, Turkey is involved, Russia is still somewhat involved, there's India, there's Pakistan, and of course the UK has a huge investment in the form of BP in Azerbaijan for gas. And with the Russia-Ukraine war, increasingly countries in Europe are seeing Azerbaijani gas as a substitute for Russian gas. So despite the cultural, shall we say, familiarity and this idea of Christendom appealing still subconsciously, if not consciously, to Europeans, and despite the historic ties some European countries such as France have had with Armenia, Azerbaijan certainly is in pole position because Europe and the UK needs Azerbaijanis. So this conflict has become very, very complex. Watch this space. Round 1 to Armenia, round 2 to Azerbaijan. Let's see what happens when round 3 comes.
Join the conversation at Fair Observer and subscribe to our YouTube channel.